back to the first ever podcast.
Welcome back. Yeah.
It's been a while.
That was literally perfect. I could not have asked for a better intro.
All right, so we're back. It's been like 4 or 5 weeks. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Life has been hectic with 2 jobs, one full-time, one part-time, and it's gotten hard to record. Weekends have gotten packed.
Well, that's a wonderfully fine excuse, but he's not telling the truth. What really happened was the last episode, you may have noticed, I did a little mashup for the intro, and Josh heard it and he quit the podcast.
That's also true.
We had to raise his pay, and he's back. It's like a Return of the Jedi situation, and he's Harrison Ford.
Hi,
So,
I'm Harrison Ford.
Alright, so
I shot first.
that's opening banter out of the way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Guns.
okay.
What's your favorite gun?
My favorite gun is the phasers from Star Trek because they're good.
Nice.
What's your favorite gun?
My favorite gun is that unicorn in Red Faction Armageddon that you pull its tail and it shoots rainbow lasers out of its butt.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, look it up. It's funny. For like 2 seconds and then it's really stupid.
It's the only thing that's good about Red Faction Armageddon.
I disagree. I kind of
Okay.
like that game.
I've actually only played it a little bit, so I can't really say.
I would say it's worse than Red Faction Guerrilla,
Yeah.
but it's still a fun game. Like, I had a good time with it. I beat it.
Cool beans.
Played it to completion.
Out of curiosity, do we have any emails?
I completely forgot we even had an email.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long. So you're going to need to put some filler
Okay.
here.
Here's what I'll do. I'll talk about my dream I had last night.
Yeah,
So
that's a
good
good
deal.
idea.
Okay. So, I don't know where this dream came from. Honestly, I don't know where... Here, hold on. I wrote down the specifics because I'm already forgetting some of them. But, hold on. Okay, now we're both bringing things up our front. Alright, so I was the newest member of Death Grips. Honestly, what might have been happening is I was taking the form of Zach Hill, but I felt like myself. And me and MC Ride were on a train, and he was just running around the train, and I was running with him. So I just went on a good old train run with MC Ride. I don't know what was happening. But then eventually somebody on the train had a financial situation, and they needed $10,000 before the train reached the destination. I remember specifically... No, it was $20,000. It was $20,000 that he needed. So MC Ride said, I got this. And he went and he jumped off the train, and he ran to a native village nearby, and he stole $10,000 worth of rice. And he ran back carrying a big bag of rice, and he jumped back on the train as it was still moving. And so we had that rice. And then eventually a police helicopter started following the train, so MC Ride shot it down with a rifle. like a World War II bolt-action rifle. And that was basically the dream.
That's pretty sweet.
I don't
like
know.
I don't even like Death Grips, but that's a sweet dream.
I don't even know what was going on. And it is one of those dreams where, like, it goes until you wake up, and I woke up, and it had just finished, and I was like, whoa. So I wrote it down.
Alright. That was very, very neat.
Yeah. I went on an adventure with MC Ride where he stole a bunch of rice. So do we have any emails?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have one email. June 18th.
Nice.
Almost an entire month ago.
Yeah.
From Roberto.
Lit.
And he says, Hi guys.
Yeah.
I would like for you to listen to LCD Sound System's 4533.
Is that an album?
It's a long song,
It's a song.
but it could be treated like a 6-track album.
Oh.
Now, I've never heard of this. Have you?
No, I know LCD Sound System, obviously, but I've never heard of that song.
Well,
so
so we now have even more work to do.
Believe me, well, to be fair, I listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I haven't gotten to the Kendrick one yet because I was busy listening to 4 different Death Grips albums. But I'm not going to talk about those this episode. I'm going to talk about those in a video I'm going to post to this channel. But I will talk about the newest Death Grips album because it's out and I've listened to it a couple times.
Alright.
So, do you want to just start off with music?
Yeah, let's start with your Death Grips stuff.
Well, okay, get it out of the way.
Yeah.
First of all, do you want to do Song of the Week? We can do that quick and then I'll talk about Death Grips.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, you do yours first.
Okay.
Because I actually know what I want to do, but I can't remember the name of it, so give me 1 minute.
Alright. Mine is Flamingo by Caro Benito. It is a British-Japanese rap outfit. Hip-hop, pop, that type of thing. Really weird song, really weird band. Here's the thing about Caro Benito. My attention was drawn to them in an episode of Fantano's Let's Argue series. And one of the questions was, Caro Benito and Death Grips share a large fan base overlap. And that's what brought me to check them out. And it's like, at first I didn't really get what they were on about, but it kind of made sense to me. Caro Benito is very clean production, very, very not Death Grips like vocals. It's a woman. She speaks both English and Japanese. And it's so light and bubbly, it almost sounds like children's music. But one of their songs is about how much the singer likes to kill dogs. So the lyrics sometimes share similarities with Death Grips. But the sound is just polar opposite. She specifically says she likes beating dogs to death with a bat.
Oh, God.
So there is a little bit of overlap with Death Grips, but
music is legitimately turning Colin into a psychopath.
Yes, it is.
Just to let everyone know what's happening.
The actual music is way more listenable because it like I said, it almost sounds like children's nursery rhymes. The idea of
that's not better.
Of Flamingo, it at least sounds like that. Some of their other songs like Graduation are a little different. They sound like club bangers, but Flamingo is a weird song. At first, I found it in a meme. It occurred to me that I was familiar with the song because it was in a meme, and then I listened to it, and it's like, that's a decent, like, weird experimental rap track, so check it out. And Caro Benito as well. It's an odd band.
Alright. So I've gone through a couple different stages within these past 5 weeks of figuring what my favorite current song is. At one point it was going to be Sunshine from Atmosphere because that song is so chill. I love it. But as of this last weekend, I found another local Minnesotan rap group. 2 of them, actually. And I've been listening to...
I did too. I want to see if one of them is the one I found. And I forget I forget the name of the one I found, but if you list it off, I'll know what it is.
Well, okay, so this is the one I'm gonna bring up right now is a rap conglomeration of a bunch of different people.
Right.
So my song of the week is by Doomtree.
Yep, that's the one I found.
And the song is Slow Burn because I haven't listened to enough of them yet.
That's not the song I had. I was so hoping that I just added a Doomtree song to my Good Songs playlist. I was so hoping that was the one you had.
You know, it might be eventually because I haven't listened to
Doomtree's pretty sick.
They are.
I haven't heard all their songs. Actually, to be fair, I shouldn't say because I've only heard the one, but this one's so cool that I want to hear more.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, it has a bunch of different rappers that are from the Midwest area. You got POS, who I've also been listening to on his own stuff. He has a couple pretty sick songs. One's called Faded that I really, really, really like. You got Cecil, Otter, Dessa, Sims, Mike McTalon.
McTalon. Yeah, he worked with Shredders as well, which is another Minneapolis rap group.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, all these people I've been slowly trying to get into more and more, because Doomtree is flipping cool. I really like Doomtree. So I've been listening to that one song pretty decent amount, and then I plan on listening to a lot more.
My Doomtree song is Team the Best Team, and it's sick. I recommend you check that one out.
I probably will.
It showed up on my Discover Weekly, and I was like, oh man. Because it's got this, like, almost like... there's like horns. And it's got this like old school cinematic feel to it, and I was like, this is cool.
All of the like rhythmic and the beats in the background for POS and Doomtree are awesome.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of rap where it kind of irritates me and it's not that great or it's just whatever. I really like the music behind the rap in Doomtree and POS.
As far as Minnesota rap supergroups go, I think Doomtree's better than Ions, better than Shredders, from what I've heard.
Well, and I agree. You know, I thought Shredders was all right, but I really like Doomtree so far. So yeah. If you want to listen to some more Minnesotan rap, which we've brought up more before, give Doomtree a listen.
Yeah. Cool beans.
If they ever come into town with like other Midwestern artists, we're going.
Yeah, I've never been to a rap show.
Me neither.
Unless you count Yellow Wolf.
I wouldn't.
Okay, I've never been to a rap show. So can't wait.
But yeah, no, I hope that there's like a big old reunion with like, just like Brother Ali and Prof and
that'd be sweet.
And then Doomtree and you know POS has his own slot. That would be awesome. Just getting a big old rap concert with people I actually know and like. That would be so cool. Have you listened to any other music?
Yeah. I think there's that one song by Bomb the Music Industry. It's called Psych, Life is Awesome. Mm-hmm. That showed up on your Discover Weekly, and I liked it so much that I put it on my good songs. I was considering making that my song of the week this week, but I went with Flamingo just because Psych, Life is Awesome is an amazing track, and Flamingo is just so weird that I had to go with that just to expose people to it. Psych, Life is Awesome is the kind of track you could like share with people pretty easily, and you wouldn't have to explain yourself. It'd be like, this is cool. But if you just like drop like Flamingo by Caro Carabinito in like a queue in like Video Club, people would be like, what? So I figured I wanted to like put it on the podcast and explain it a little bit.
Alright.
So other than that, I heard Ghost's new album Prequel, because you recommended it to me, and I love it.
I thought you would. It has a lot of interesting classic rock vibes.
Yeah, because Ghost is really hit or miss for me. A lot of their earlier stuff, it's like I like the really showy, cheesy, like almost hair metal-esque sound they have for the most part, but like also they get a little too heavy for me, and it's also just like it gets old after a while. But Prequel is a good album, and I listened to it start to finish, and I enjoyed every song. So, and even the heavier stuff like Rats, it had this Rats.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. It had this amazing theatrics to it, and it's so good. And it's like I don't mind it. It's really really sick. I love that album. Seriously.
I still think that Subway should hire Ghost and have them just do a little jingle about raps.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Subway, eat fresh. Raps. Raps. No, seriously. When the I'm not a huge fan of Ghost's, like, I guess it's not... I don't know if I call it screaming. It's just their non-clean vocals where they get like raspy. I'm typically not a major fan of that, but like when he comes in with the rats. It's like you just can't help but like, oh wow, this is cool. Especially, and it's a lot of there's some really awesome instrumentals on the album, and that helps it out a lot.
Yeah.
Like the guitar riff going on during the rats part is just whoosh. It's like fantastic. Good album. Check it out. If you like weird Swedish prog metal, are they prog metal? I guess you could call them progressive because
they're different.
They're very different.
They're a different type of metal.
They're metal in the sense that they're barely even what we consider metal these days. It's like what metal was in like the 80s, kind of.
Well, and especially with the newest album.
Yes, especially. Well, their older stuff is more straightforward metal. The newest album, like you said, is bordering on just classic rock.
Yeah, so. Which blew my mind. Like, the more I listened to it, I was like, wow, this is sounding just more and more like just old school rock.
Their song Dance Macabre is it sounds like it could be just this like 80s rock ballad. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, give them a listen if you feeling up to it.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't think I had more music to talk about, but I do.
Okay.
Because I was hanging out with some people on the last weekend, for like an entire day, because that's what I did. And so I met up with my cousin, and my cousin showed me this song called Through the Roof in Underground.
Okay.
It's from a movie called Wrist Cutters, A Love Story.
Alright.
Which I haven't seen the movie, and I haven't heard the song until that day. But now I feel like I have to. And when we're done with this podcast, I am going to show this song to Colin, and I'm going to guess that he's going to enjoy it.
Alright.
So yeah, give that a listen. It's this kind of weird song. It's strange. And then there's this other song called Firework by Canyon City. Which was this kind of chill, relaxing tune with good vocals, and I haven't listened to it all that much. I listened to it like half of it once, but I kind of liked it, so I favorited it, and so I'm planning on listening to that at least one more time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alright. Cool.
I'm very excited to show you that song now. I forgot about it until a couple seconds ago. I'm
going to talk about Death Grips for a little bit, so you can...
You go right ahead.
Put your earbuds in. Year of the Snitch is out. I listened to it a couple times.
It's out.
Splinter really loves it. Shout out to Splinter. I really like it. I don't know how I feel. I mean, I have to listen to their whole discography again, just to see where I rank everything, because I will be doing that. I'll be ranking everything and putting it in a video soon. Which is why I'm not... Well, I also listen to No Love Deep Web and The Money Store and Government Plates, and I still need to listen to The Powers That Be, but I'll be talking about that fully in another video. I don't want to talk about it at all right now. So, Year of the Snitch is good. I don't know... It's way different from Bottomless Pit. It's a very, very different album. I don't know if I like it more or less than Bottomless Pit. It's around about Bottomless Pit level, just... They're taking themselves a lot less seriously in this album, I feel, which is nice. I like them embracing that the wacky nature of Death Grips. And they have a cameo by the director of Shrek. And that song, Dilemma, is coincidentally one of my favorite songs on the album. I didn't love it at first, but it really grew on me. Honestly, I think my two favorite songs are the opening track and the closing track, because it's actually the opposite of Bottomless Pit, where Bottomless Pit, my two least favorite songs were the opening track and the closing track. Like, Giving Bad People Good Ideas, it's just too grindcore for me, and then the last one was also a little too grindcore for me, but in this one, the first one is just an absolute banger, and then the last one is just a phenomenal closer. I think it's the best album closer Death Grips have ever had. So, yeah, that's about it.
Cool.
Good album.
Alright. Movies?
Well, first I wanted to touch on news.
News.
We tend to stay away from controversial stories here on Movie Club. On Purple Panda.
I mean, the more we do this, the less that's true.
Here's the thing: we don't like to talk about subjects that are controversial, and we don't want to make anybody angry, and we just keep it light.
Except for you.
In an unrelated topic, would you like to talk about the death of XXXTentacion?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that.
I want to start, actually.
Okay.
Okay, so this guy, rapper.
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, so he was a rapper, and he went to a ATM, pulled out a lot of money, and then was he shot?
Yes.
Alright, so then he was shot, and I'm guessing the money stolen?
Maybe. I don't know the whole... I heard a couple of conflicting reports. One said it was an attempted robbery. One said it was just somebody ran up and shot him and didn't even mention any money. So it's like... I don't know the official story at this time.
Alright. I'm going to go with he was shot and then robbed. Because Maybe. He decided to take a lot of money out of an ATM.
Maybe.
Which, whatever. Now, there's a lot of back and forth between... if this is a good thing or not.
Yeah.
Which seems really ridiculous to me.
It does. See, if you don't know about XXXTentacion, the thing about him is he was going through a court case in which he is accused of beating his girlfriend, beating and psychologically tormenting his girlfriend who was allegedly pregnant at the time. And nothing has been proven at this point because the trial didn't proceed because he died, but the internet's willing to just assume that he did it, and I'm going to assume that he did it in this too, because my point is, regardless of whether or not he did it, let's just assume he did do it. It doesn't matter in the end, because my point's still going to be the same. Here... I went on Twitter, and it honestly kind of disgusted me. A lot of my friends, a lot of the people I know, they're like, they're celebrating. You know, they're just like, thank God he's dead. You know, another wife beating scumbag gone, that kind of thing. And it's like, that's just way too sociopathic.
Yeah.
and it's like, you cannot celebrate the death of a human. Like, what I'm trying to say is he was murdered is the thing. If he had died of like natural causes, I would almost understand all the celebration, but technically speaking, nothing was proven, but like I said, I'm just going to assume he did it. Even if he did do it, I don't think celebrating the death of a 20-year-old is a good way to go about this. What I did was I just said, let's like donate to charity or something. If you got all this pent-up energy, don't go on Twitter and be like, hooray, he's dead. It's just...
Yeah, it's awful.
There's just a lack of human decency there. It's just like, he did some bad things.
The way I see it is, even if he was this horrible, horrible person, wife or girlfriend beating scumbag, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
He's just this awful guy. Then he should go to jail.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be happy that he was murdered. At the end of the day, there's one guy dead, and then a murderer still out there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. The argument I kept saying is, Sugar Pine 7 did a podcast, and the title of it was "People Shouldn't Be Celebrating XXXTentacion's Death," and the comment section, of course, blew up. And a big argument I kept seeing over and over again is like, why shouldn't we celebrate that there's one less woman beater in the world? And it's like, in my head, I'm like, but there is one more murderer in the world. There is one person who has killed a man and who got away with it, and he's still at large.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if he kills somebody else?
Yeah.
You're essentially, if that person goes on Twitter and he sees all these people like, hooray, XXX Tentacion's dead, he's like, oh, well, I'll just go kill some more unliked public figures, you know? It's You're glorifying a murderer. And then here's where it gets really tough. I mean, in my mind, it's not that tough, but in a lot of people's mind, it is. There are two crimes we're talking about here. Abuse, which is obviously terrible, and murder. And if you have to say one is worse than the other, I feel like a lot of people would have to logically go murder. Not to downplay what he did, which is obviously terrible. He should have gone to jail, and he should have stayed in jail for all I care. But
that doesn't mean he deserved to die.
He did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to be gunned down. It's like, you cannot celebrate gun violence. Let's just not celebrate gun violence, alright? This country's messed up enough as it is. People are going to see them, they'll be like, well, I'm going to go kill somebody. Because it's like, maybe Twitter will just celebrate my actions. You know, it's like, it's stupid.
It is.
It's really stupid.
And, you know, that's where I ended up on it in the end, too. Like, it's not to be celebrated. Like, there are still upsides for him not being around anymore. Like, his girlfriend no longer has to worry. Right. You know, she doesn't have to deal with him anymore. Sure, that's a good thing. But another man is dead from some murderer just running up and shooting him. Yeah. And that was not the way to go about, you know, fixing that problem.
Exactly.
Which I don't think they have any correlation at all. Yeah. So the idea in the end that people are celebrating, yeah, it's pretty awful.
Well, yeah, it's just they're painting murder as a glorious act of vigilante justice, and that's a dangerous mentality to have, because then you as a society like devalues human life, and it is complicated to some people who feel like they have to be politically extreme in everything they do, because obviously it's bad that he was beating his girlfriend. That's obviously a horrendous, deplorable act.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. I mean, there was pictures out of her, and she was blind in one eye and bloodied. Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah, but you cannot equivalate that to the murder was justified. Like, you just can't. Like, you have to. These things have to follow the proper lawful procedure. You can't just say, like, thank God that guy came and killed him. You know, it's just, you can't do that. As a society, we cannot do that.
Yeah, well, and if the lawful procedure fails us, then we need to find a way to make that not happen. We need to go and talk about the law, you know, the systems of law that we have in place that aren't working, if they're not working. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's just a million different things that have to happen before we just start celebrating murder, all right? Yeah. That's not okay.
Yeah.
It's very not okay.
Yeah, so that's just is what it is.
Yep, it is.
And that's my thoughts on the matter. And that's Josh's thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And if anybody wants to talk to either of us about it, honestly, I'm completely open. Like, I don't see a situation in this where I would be for the death of anybody.
Right.
Just because that's not who I am, I don't think that's okay.
It's like it's like, if you think about it, a lot of people brought up Hitler. They're like, it's like if you're around when Hitler died.
They're like, okay, so XXXTentacion is Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people brought up Hitler. It's like, you know, I could see that. They're pretty much the same deal. XXXTentacion beat his girlfriend. Hitler ordered the killing of millions of people.
It's basically the same thing. Same thing.
And but here's the thing: is political activists, well, quote unquote political activists, liberal. But okay, I'm myself am liberal, but I'm also a decent human being, so I don't take it to the extreme in these
actions. I think you're treading on some thin ice right now.
Here's the thing. There are people in our age that feel like the world is black and white, and there's no shades of the like things can't be comparable. Everything's either bad or good.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no relativity, and that leads to people being like, I have to react extremely, otherwise I'm not doing my generation service. And that's just a stupid mindset, in my opinion. Sorry if anybody's listening who does that, but it's like, here's the thing. Everything's relative. You hear that he's a wife beater, and you say he deserved to die. Like, you should be saying that's an awful thing. He should be in jail. Like that's reasonable.
Yeah.
He deserved to die. There's not an equivalency there. Like, yes, he inflicted damage on a human being. That's a bad thing. And he's inflicted damage on other human beings. That's a bad thing. As far as I know, he hasn't killed anybody, and he may have inflicted emotional damage, and that's bad, of course. But it's like it comes down to this is not a life for a life. All right, it's more like
no. Well, you know the saying, an eye for an eye.
Yeah.
The whole world's blind.
Yeah, exactly.
In the end, it's not how it's gonna work. It's not how it should work, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's psychotic and stupid.
Yeah, it's like, that's right. Even if he had killed somebody, it's still bad to celebrate his death, because it's like, and it's like that I could almost even understand. If he had killed somebody, it's like, if he had killed somebody and died of natural causes, and people were like, thank God for that, I'd be like, it's a little scumbag. It's a little scummy to do that, but it's like, okay, whatever. It's like, I get where your logic's coming from, but in this, it's like, he committed abuse, and it's the political climate right now. He committed abuse, which is bad, and there's this whole Me Too movement going on, and everybody's like vehemently hates him for it, which is fine. If everybody hated him when he was alive, it's like, yeah, that's okay, because yeah, it's a bad thing to do. However, it's like you lose track of the value of human life. I don't know. I don't really want to talk about this much more, because it's just this downward spiral, and you never get anywhere.
Kind of. You want to talk about Hitler instead?
Yes, let's talk about Hitler.
All right. So, well, actually, no, I do have a question about Hitler. So, should we be celebrating Hitler's death?
Yeah, it's like,
I guess in the end is the question. So,
it's a difficult question.
It is. Now, I don't think anybody should be celebrating his death. I think they
anybody
should
celebrate any death, personally. Like,
not in that fashion. Like, when I die, I want people to celebrate, but not because I'm dead, but because of...
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Yeah. Back to the real question. So, Hitler's death, I don't think it should be celebrated that he killed himself. I don't think that's something that people should celebrate about. I think they should be celebrating the end of a war, the end of the slaughtering of millions of people.
Yeah.
Was it millions?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's like
it's been a while since I did history.
All fatalities of the war and like victims of the Holocaust. Yeah. Easily millions.
And the end of that is something to celebrate. His death, his committing of suicide is not something people should be. Yeah, he killed himself. Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah. That's so stupid. You know, if you really wanted justice, if you wanted extradition or whatever, justice, he should be sitting in a cell and just not allowed to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Not allowed to die. Not allowed to do anything except sit there and contemplate his life's actions.
Exactly, because we as a society, we don't really have capital punishment. Like, we don't. I think we do in certain cases, but we're not
certain states.
We're not ultimately a nation that kills people for this stuff. You know, we have a correctional system for a reason. Perhaps he could have reformed. Perhaps he could have changed, but we'll never know because he's dead now. You know, it's yeah.
Well, and you know, then this comes to a question of capital punishment then.
Yeah.
Which is a huge ordeal, and everyone has different stances on it, and I'm somewhere in the middle. Not that I it's very specific in very few cases where I believe somebody should actually be put to death.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so far it has sounded like I'm very against it, and that's not always necessarily the case. There are, I believe, certain situations when drastic needs need to be taken.
If there's somebody who has taken human lives and he is a threat to society and there's no way he's going to change and he's dangerous enough to not be incarcerated with anybody, yeah, it's like, honestly, in some cases, capital punishment is probably justified. But XXXTentacion is not one of those cases.
No, he's not.
It's a manner of abuse is terrible, but it's not a crime punishable by death. You know,
there's a lot of worse people out there, and for everyone to be latching onto this one guy and celebrating his murder is ridiculous.
Well, it's like, it's interesting. Interestingly enough, he's kind of a martyr for a cause, but he's like a martyr in a negative way. It's like they're like, his death is a shining light of hope for the anti.
That sounds like crap I've heard in like the Outlast.
Yeah, exactly.
Video game, like the cults are like, his death will lead us into the future.
Exactly.
You know, crap like that.
And it's scary. That mentality's scary.
That's awful.
You know, it's we can't think like that if we want to be, you know, a good, healthy society.
Yeah.
So, in the end of the day, it hurts to know that he did that. It hurts to know that that's a thing that happened. But ultimately, you just have to accept that we just gotta let the law handle these things as it was going to.
Yeah. Now, on the movies.
Yes. Okay. onto a lighter subject. Now, I've seen a lot of movies. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I'd like to talk about a few of them. You want to start with movie of the week? Do you have a movie of the week?
I do, but it's my one and only movie.
Cool. Talk about it, because I'm going to bring up
my one and only movie I've watched within all these weeks, because I've been so busy, is The Ringer. It's a Johnny Knoxville movie about him and his uncle rigging the Special Olympics so that they can win a bunch of money.
Okay. That sounds really bad.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts off, he's in this job. I'm just going to full out spoil this movie because the plot doesn't matter. It's a stupid comedy. This is one of the only Johnny Knoxville movie I've ever watched and actually thought I enjoyed this in any regard.
Yeah.
So you got Johnny Knoxville, and he's running around doing his thing. He has work, and then he goes to work, and then he's like, I want to be bigger in this company. And so then they tell him to go fire this janitor who's not doing a fantastic job. So he goes and fires him, but he's nervous because he's a nice janitor. So he says, well, I'll give you a new job. You can come mow my apartment's lawn. And so he does, and then he gets his fingers chopped off in the lawnmower.
Good.
The janitor man. And having no health insurance is bad, and then having your fingers chopped off is worse. And so then they need money for a procedure, so Johnny Knoxville goes to his uncle saying, you owe me money! And his uncle's like, but we can rig the Special Olympics, because then I can get money from these guys. Whatever, it's dumb.
Yeah.
And so they do. They rig the Special Olympics. They put Johnny Knoxville in the Special Olympics, and then he has to act like a disabled person, somebody with some type of learning disability, and I go back and forth on this movie because there are points where it's horribly, horribly offensive.
Sounds horribly offensive.
But there are also points where like the people in it, because they're in this like living community with a bunch of learning disabled people, highly functioning. What's the terms? I always forget the terms. I don't mean to offend anybody, but highly functioning learning disabled people.
Yes.
Does that sound
high functioning, like autism?
Yes. Along those lines. And there's a bunch of people who are in this living community with them, and some of them are all of them are awesome.
All right.
Like they're really cool, and they paint them in this good light.
So the movie has, if I'm not mistaken, the movie has this angle where it starts off as an offensive premise, but the overall message is that
Yes.
people with learning disabilities can be really cool people, and
Yeah.
we shouldn't judge them.
That's exactly where it goes.
That sounds okay. That's
exactly. So I mean,
that's interesting.
It walks this line that I think is very interesting, and it's really really bizarre. So you have this scumbag person, Johnny Knoxville, rigging the Special Olympics, which I already kind of didn't like him, so it works.
Right.
And then all of these highly functioning people around him that he's living with figure out that he isn't disabled at all. And then they gang up on him, and it's this fantastic moment in the movie. And then they want him to stay because what they have to do is they have to beat out the guy who's been winning the Special Olympics over and over and over. And they're gonna help him do that because they hate that guy.
Right.
And so they start training him, and it just kind of turns into this fun-loving montage movie for a little while. And then the actual Olympics happen. There's this love crap going on with Johnny Knoxville and some chick. Who cares? I don't care about that. And then in the end, it comes to the award ceremony. He didn't win, but another person did. One of his friends won, so he's number 1. Number 2 is the guy that always wins, and then he's number 3. And then he comes out and he says, "I'm not actually disabled," and everyone's booing and everyone's, "Oh, you're awful," which is fair.
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and the love interest slaps him, whatever. And then all of his friends that he's made over this time come back together, and he starts working with developmentally disabled people by making a feeder business that incorporates developmentally disabled people, and that's kind of how the movie ends. And it's just a really interesting, conflicting movie where I'm like, this is horribly offensive sometimes, but other times it's really good.
That's odd.
Yeah, especially for Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah. It's on the same at the same time, it's exactly as stupid as you'd expect Johnny Knoxville to be. On the other hand, it's oddly progressive.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? So he has to pretend to be developmentally disabled throughout the entire movie almost, which is awful.
Yeah, that's I'm just picturing that. It's I don't like that.
Yeah, which is awful. Don't get me wrong, that's awful. But there's a lot of still really happy moments with a lot of people that are in the movie that are portraying developmentally disabled people that are not shown in an awful way, which is uncommon for movies. Typically anybody with a developmentally disabled anything ends up being kind of shown in this awful light, or very childish, or very stupid, or along those lines. But the movie really doesn't portray them like that, which is fantastic.
It's there are movies that what comes to mind are movies like What's Eating Gilbert Grape, or what's that one with Johnny Depp? The other one with Johnny Depp, the one Benny and June, where it's it's in Benny and June it's a relationship between two. Actually, I haven't seen it in a while. I don't remember if Johnny Depp's character is mentally handicapped. I know the woman is, and he has a relationship with her, and her family doesn't like it, but they're in love. That's the premise of Benny June. What's Even Gilbert Grape is he is heavily Leonardo DiCaprio is heavily autistic, and he is barely functioning, that type thing, mental age of a child, that type of thing. I think I haven't seen these movies in a while, but it's a harsh portrayal of how affecting it can be, but it's not a offensive portrayal. It's a very realistic, fair portrayal.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are moments in this movie that are horribly, horribly offensive.
Okay.
There are. But this was made a while ago,
right,
and that was way more acceptable back when this was made.
Yeah.
So as of today, this movie is definitely not PC.
Right.
All right? if you're gonna go into this movie being like, oh, Josh said it's not, they portray him in some decent way. Yeah, and I'm talking about back in the day.
And this actually ties into another movie I saw in between podcasts, a Scary Movie. Have you seen the first one?
Yes, I have.
There's the mentally handicapped character in that, and it occurred to me, this would never fly these days.
Nope.
I was like,
whoo, because it's doesn't
horribly offensive.
It is. It's horribly offensive. But with the Ringer, they're in an era where there wasn't a light at the end of the tunnel for any type of developmentally disabled people at all, as far as in movies.
Yeah.
They were always bad portrayals, awful looking down on portrayals.
Well, it's like...
But this movie seems to be one of the very few that I found that, back then, there was like, oh, okay, so they're good people. They're just people. They're people.
Yeah, exactly. What's Eating Gilbert Grape is a horribly depressing movie, from what I remember.
I haven't seen it. I really should.
It's a good movie, don't get me wrong, but it's horribly depressing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, be prepared for that. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my movie of the week.
Cool.
I'm not suggesting everyone go watch it. It's just I remember watching this a long time ago, and I thought it was really funny back then. And then, now I've grown up, and it's not as funny because I now understand how horribly offensive, some of the bits are. But rewatching it as of recently, I still think that, this movie isn't like the worst thing in the world. There's definitely some value to it. Okay. I believe.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, my movie of the week, I'm not going to talk about nearly as much because I don't want to spoil anything. Have you heard of Mandy, this upcoming Nicolas Cage movie?
Vaguely, maybe.
You need to see a trailer of it. I may show you after the podcast is done because I'm very much looking forward to it. It looks insane. And I saw it's from visionary director Panos Cosmatos. I have no clue how you pronounce his name, but it's Panos Cosmatos, I think. And I was like, I've never heard of this guy. And I looked him up, and he's done not much of note, except there's this one other movie called Beyond the Black Rainbow. And I was like, okay. And then I went on Twitter, and then the first tweet I saw was Jay Bowman from Red Letter Media, and he was like, if you just saw the trailer for Mandy, which looks awesome, you should definitely go check out the director's previous movie, Beyond the Black Rainbow, because it's awesome. And I was like, okay. I trust his opinion. He has a very similar movie taste to me, so I was like, okay, I trust his opinion, and this is a sign. Just as I saw it, I saw that tweet, and I was like, sweet, I'll go watch this, Beyond the Black Rainbow. And it is the craziest movie I've seen in weeks. It is. Let me be clear. It's very slow paced. It's not a thrill minute. It's extremely. It's slow paced to the point where it's like it breaks the conventions of film. Like it's not a coherent movie as it is a series of audio visual feedback. and it's like this movie is trying to less entertain you and more get you to have a seizure. There's sequences. There are sequences, and it's like the lighting is what I can only describe as aggressive. There are sequences that I noticed because I was like, it's a horror movie, so I was like, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like turn all the lights out in my room because it was like midnight at this point. I was like, I'm gonna pitch black in my room and just have my laptop up on I was laying down, a laptop on my stomach, just like watching it there, and maybe it's because I was in such a dark room that I noticed this so much, but there are sequences where the lighting is painful because it's a reverse shot of two people talking, but one shot the person's just in shadow with like a little bit of red glow on his face, and then the other shot's just like bright white, and it keeps cutting between the two. And so it's just like your eyes get adjusted to one, and it's just bam, bright white, and it's like, at first I thought, is this like poor cinematography? Then I thought it's very much intentional because it's the kind of feeling the movie's supposed to evoke from you. It's like the movie wants you to be in pain, and the movie, and there are surreal, dreamlike sequences that are so unbelievably horrifying. It's like that scene in Under the Skin that I said freaks me out. It's like that, but like way worse. and it's like, and the way the movie plays with lighting is crazy. This is the most strangely lit movie I've ever seen. It's a lot of washed out neon, that kind of thing. And beyond that, I don't want to give too much away about the plot because there's not much of a plot at all. Basically, it's about a psychic girl who is trapped in this facility. But it's haunting, beautiful, disturbing, very disturbing, and it just feels like this experience rather than a traditional cinematic story. And it's the kind of movie I love. It's very, very, very good. So, Beyond the Black Rainbow is my movie of the week.
Cool.
Check it out if you want something super weird.
Alright. Sounds like something I might enjoy.
Maybe.
Yeah. Alright. So,
above and beyond that, I've seen, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've seen 11 movies since last time we...
Do you just want to rattle them off, or do you want to go into any of them?
I'll rattle them off, see what I want to say about some of them. Hereditary, do you want to talk about Hereditary?
No, I want to wait.
And do it on like an A24
yes.
quest or something. Yeah. Well, we're going to devote like a whole A24 quest to Hereditary, I think.
Sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
So wait for that. We'll talk
cool
about Hereditary. Because me and Josh both saw it, and we have things to say about it. I saw Repo the Genetic Opera, which
I wish I would have seen.
Which I was going to make that my movie of the week because I loved it so much. But then I saw Beyond the Black Rainbow, and I was like, gotta go with that because I loved it even more. So
can we wait on that one too? Because I want to talk about that one when I finally
watch
it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go into it, but Repo the Generic Opera, fantastic. You're gonna love it.
I assume so.
I know what you like, and you're gonna love it. I'm not even gonna tell you why. You're just gonna love it.
Good.
Because it is not the movie I was expecting it to be, and it's something else. Let me tell you. Incredibles 2. I saw Incredibles 2. Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't. Like I said, I hadn't seen any movies because of The Ringer. That's it.
So I won't talk about it too much. I'll give you the chance to...
What'd you like about it?
I liked it.
Cool.
Here's the thing. It does very little to justify its own existence. It's just kind of a... sequel to The Incredibles.
Alright.
The plot... The plot is original enough. I mean, it's not a retread of the first Incredibles, and I kind of appreciated that. I mean, it's kind of to be fair, there's plot elements that are reused from the first Incredibles. Not to give too much away, but in the first Incredibles, Mr. Incredible gets this secret job, and he has to go away and do it. In the sequel, Mrs. Incredible gets this secret job, and she has to go away and do it. So it's this parallel. And the movie takes a much more feminist angle because it's 2018, and that's just kind of a requirement.
Ouch.
No, it's not a bad thing, per se. It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying it's...
I know, but you saying it's a requirement implies...
It is. Let's say it is a good message, but filmmakers don't include it because they love the message. They include it because that will get them money. You have to understand, these filmmakers are very cynical.
Yeah.
It is a good message, and I appreciate it, but it's like, there is cynical intent behind it. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So
I get you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. And what I loved is well animated. The action sequences are fantastic. For a Pixar movie, it's like there are action sequences with like weight and like peril, actual danger and consequence. It felt like just a plain old superhero movie, just animated.
I've heard it feels kind of long, especially for being a children's movie.
It does feel a little long because there's like a lot going on in it. Plot wise, it's a little convoluted, and the villain is kind of weak.
Is the villain that girl I've seen on the internet?
Not gonna say.
Okay.
Because the villain, you're not supposed to know who it is. Technically speaking, it's one of the characters, but you're not supposed to know which one it is.
Okay. And I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen it. So I've just seen a couple different pictures from it.
But I would recommend. I've seen people say it's like, oh, it's terrible. It's just a cash grab movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that at all.
Well, it's like the your movie sucks, and like the pretentious people I know, they're like, it's just awful. It's just a Pixar cash grab. And to be fair, in a sense, it kind of is, because a lot of people will see it just out of nostalgia alone. And like I said, it doesn't do a lot to justify its own existence, but it's like, I just put all that behind me. I didn't try to compare it to the original Incredibles. I just saw it as its own thing, and it's fine. It's not as good as the Incredibles, like, by a long shot. The Incredibles is a much, much better movie, and that is partially due to the fact that Craig T. Nelson as Mr. Incredible sounds like a tired old man. And it's extremely noticeable throughout the movie. Every line he has, it just brought me out of the movie, because it's just like, it sounds like he's trying to emote, but he just sounds like a tired geriatric old man. And it's a little off-putting. And it's like, I get it. It's been 12 years since the last one. 14 years since the last one. But it's like, yeah, it's not fantastic. What I will say, they have a new actor playing Dash, and it sounds identical to the actor playing Dash in the first one. Like, if you didn't know it was a new actor, you'd be like, oh, wow, it's just the same person. So, that's great.
Now, I have a very important question for you about this movie.
Yeah.
Is Kari back?
No. There's no mention of Kari, actually.
I'm so sad.
She's out.
Kari! I love Kari.
Kari.
Hi there, I'm Kari.
Yeah.
Well, I know there was the little short in the first one where she gets her mind wiped.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
By the government.
Yeah. So it makes sense that she would be back.
I wish they would have brought her back and just had her like babysit for a little bit and be like, "Hi, I'm Kari," and like not know anything.
Yeah.
It's like, "Hi, Kari."
Yeah. Well, no. Mr. Incredible is babysitting Jack in this movie, and that's like,
I have seen the commercial for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that joke is funny the first time they do it, but they do it a lot. And it gets a little less funny as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
So,
I can see that.
You know, it's a hit and miss kind of movie. It's like, there's parts I really liked, there's parts I really didn't like. Okay. Speaking of like aging voice actresses, like Mrs. Incredible, or Elastigirl as she's called in this movie, they go back to her being called Elastigirl at some point. The woman playing her, I forget her name. She also sounds much older, and she sounds, I don't know if this is true. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not, but it sounds like she's had a stroke. All of her S's are sh instead of s, and it's kind of it's odd. I didn't notice it in the last movie, so I assume it's a new thing. It's kind of weird. I don't know. I don't know if there's really a reason that is, or maybe that's just how she sounds as she gets older. I don't know. Yeah. Also, Violet sounds very much like a middle-aged woman trying to pull off a teenager's voice. And it's a little awkward.
Oh, that's funny.
So oddly enough, the only decent vocal performance of like the main and ensemble cast is Dash.
And Jack?
And Jack's just a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it decent though?
It's just a baby.
There you go. They just heard it here. Jack did a good performance.
They literally just got a baby and just had a baby.
They just stole a baby.
Yeah. Oh, and Samuel L. Jackson's actually great in it, but that's because he's been consistently, like acting as of late. So I think he's a little more. I mean, I'm sure Craig T. Nelson. Actually, I don't think he's been doing much.
I think he has.
Has he?
He did Parenthood, and I saw that.
He's in Parenthood?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah,
well, fair enough. I take it back.
That's in Mr. Incredible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in Parenthood. He was the dad of one of the girls.
Okay, I didn't know that. Cool.
Do you watch Parenthood?
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
I don't really, but my
Yeah.
mom does. Or did.
Yeah.
I think it's over now.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's move on because I've still got a few movies to rattle
Yes,
off.
and I got video games after this.
Yes,
real
okay.
quick as well.
Scary movie. I mentioned that briefly. I saw.
What did you think about Scary Movie? I gotta know.
It's funny.
Okay.
It's not like an amazing movie. I wasn't looking forward to it because I know how bad the sequels are, but the original is pretty funny.
All right. Cool.
It's funny in a kind of edgy way that a lot of it wouldn't be politically correct these days. There's a lot of mentally challenged jokes and gay jokes that wouldn't really fly in 2018, but it's funny. I don't know. I laughed a fair amount, and there's like jokes that aren't edgy that worked. You know, it's like because it's got that it's got something to do with the Zucker brothers. I don't think they directed or wrote it, but I think they had something to do with the production of it. I say that simply because there's an unmistakable Zucker brothers quality to it. And so yeah. You know who the Zucker brothers are. They did the airplane and the Naked Gun.
Right.
There's an unmistakable air of that in there. So it's like...
Well, heavily influenced for sure.
Yeah, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they had something to do with the production of it. Not the sequels, but the original Scary Movie. So it's like...
Well, and it parodies Scream and...
it parodies a lot
I Know
of
What
things.
You Did.
Yeah. I Know What You Did last summer.
And...
The Matrix.
Yeah, that's right. The Matrix. I forgot about that.
It parodies many things. It parodies Blair
Very
Witch
cool.
Project.
Oh, yeah.
In which it just like
That was
snot
awful.
just
I
starts like
hated that
gushing
so
out of
much.
everyone. Yeah.
Anyway, next movie.
Okay, next
Very
movie.
cool.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh, you saw that?
I did.
What'd you think?
It's good. It's really good. I didn't love it. It's like I saw Scream. I saw a double feature of Scream and Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And I like Tucker and Dale versus Evil a little more than Scream because like the humor relied less on edginess and more on just like funny scenarios. It's good situational humor. And I love the rednecks. They're just lovable. Especially the...
Both of them are... I forget both their names, but I love both of those actors.
The fat one, like the kind of main character guy.
Yeah.
I forget which one that is. Is that...
He played Wysocki in
Is
The
that
Reaper.
Tucker or Dale?
That's Tucker.
That's Tucker. He was my favorite.
Yeah.
He's just this...
He's so lovable!
He's just this lovable teddy bear of a man.
And then, I love it so much. If you haven't seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil, watch it. It's so good. It's so self-aware of what kind of movie it is.
If you don't know the gimmick behind Tucker and Dale versus Evil, don't look it up and just go check it out.
Yeah.
Because I did know the gimmick going in, of course, and I feel like my experience was a little let down by that. Because if you go into it not knowing what the gimmick is or like what the movie's about, you'll enjoy it far more. Because it's very similar to Cabin in the Woods a lot of ways.
And I haven't seen that, so I don't know what he's
Cabin
talking
in the
about.
Woods takes the horror genre, just completely turns it on its head.
Yeah.
And it plays on a lot of stereotypes in a really like comedic way, and Tucker and Dale's extremely similar. So,
Alright.
yeah, check
Next
it out.
movie.
Rad.
And
then after that, I saw Tag, and Tag was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Worth a watch.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Tag is a fantastic concept for a movie because it's based on a real story, true story. And I actually read a review of somebody whose like dad is one of the people who actually did this in real life, and they say him and his dad went and saw it and they loved it. So it's like we've got confirmation that the people who did this in real life are on board with the way that Tag portrayed it. And Tag portrayed it in a very over-the-top way, in which obviously it didn't happen like this, but it's like, it's just takes this concept and really runs with it. And Tag is at its best when it's just having fun with the concept. When the tag sequences in the movie, I'll call them, they're like action sequences, but with tagging, are the best parts of the movie. Every time one of those happens, it's an absolute blast. The parts in between, where they're trying to do A, forced drama, and B, like dialogue-based jokes completely fall flat. The writing lets this movie down in a big way. Because you don't care about the drama. There's one scene near the end that's kind of touching, and the ending's actually good. I'll give it that. That's the only time in which the plot actually did something, and I was like, okay, the ending's kind of like feel good. I like it. It's like, it's a good ending.
Right.
The rest of the movie, the drama, you don't care about it. The written humor is... It bugs me how bad it is, because there's like never a good written joke in the movie, and the humor's really awkward when they're not playing tag. When they're just talking, it's just never funny. And what bugs me is there's some funny people in this movie. He's like, John Hamm can be hilarious when he wants to be. Hannibal Burgess is so wasted, because I feel like they didn't let Hannibal just do his thing. I feel like they got a writer to like write Hannibal Buress... I said Burgess. Hannibal Buress jokes. And Hannibal Buress just did them the best he could. But it's like, obviously, it's just not his... It didn't feel like he was improvising. It felt like he was just reading a script and trying to make it funny. And it wasn't really working because the quality isn't there. Because Hannibal Buress is a very funny guy. In this movie, they make him seem like not a funny guy.
Alright.
So yeah, it's like half and half. The tag sequences are worth the price of admission because they're fun and you'll enjoy them. But everything else is kind of disappointing. So
cool.
It's worth a watch. See if you like it. Okay. I mentioned Rad briefly. I watched my Rad out of context video if you want to know what I thought of it. I watched The Holy Mountain again.
That's just a weekly thing now.
Yeah, I showed Chris this time.
Yeah, I
and
know.
He liked it.
Did he?
I don't know.
Oh.
Okay. I assumed so because he didn't talk about not liking it, but he was enjoying it as it was going on. He was very confused.
Okay. Yeah.
I saw Amelie. It's a great movie. I remember liking it as a kid, but not understanding it. Now I understand it, and that's good.
Cool.
It's a wonderful little French romantic comedy, I'd say. It's a nice movie. I saw Beyond the Black Rainbow. I already talked about that. I saw Hardware. Hardware is a fantastic movie that I don't think anybody's ever heard of. It's like a, I want to say British made because there's a lot of like British people in it. There's Iggy Pop is in it. There's Lemmy Kilmister or whatever his name is from Motorhead. Lemmy, Lemmy.
I know Lemmy.
He's in it. Well, they have cameos. It's a movie about this space marine and his weird junkie friend, who the space marine's like home from the space fight because it's a post-apocalyptic Earth. And there's like space fights or whatever, I don't know. You don't really see that part of it. You just know this guy's a space marine. And he finds a robot head out in the desert. And he brings it to this junk dealer guy. And he's like, how much do you give me for this robot head? And he's like, gives him a really low price. And he's like, I'm just going to give it to my girlfriend as a present. So he gives it to his girlfriend as a present. And... the robot head comes alive and builds itself a body and tries to kill the girlfriend in her apartment. And it's a fantastic movie. It's this really dark neo-future, really cheesy sci-fi movie. It came out just 1990. Just pulpy, schlocky concept done in a really fun way. Well, I say fun. It's not trying to be fun. It's got a really dark tone to it, but it's like ultimately the ending is so insane that it's just a blast. So
right.
Yeah, check it out.
Cool.
And that's about it. Except I saw Chopping Mall as well. Again.
All right. Cool.
And that's Chopping Mall. So. Yeah.
Right.
I think I've talked about it before, so I'm not going to again.
You ready for some hot
video
rapid
games?
fire video games?
No.
it's not that rapid fire because I'm only going to be talking about 4.
I've got a few to talk about myself. So.
All right. So I played Momodora. Momodora.
I don't know what that is.
It's 2D Dark Souls.
Okay.
Pixelated.
Cool.
It's fun. I wouldn't suggest it for most people.
Yeah.
It's got this like Metrovania-esqueness to it, which I enjoy. You play this cute little girl who's walking around. She has a leaf that she attacks people with.
Neat.
And a bow and arrow.
Neat.
And Red Riding Hood.
It's like really hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
I'll avoid it.
After that, I started playing Skyrim again. Doo-doo, Colin, and Aaron telling me I have to.
I never said you had
yes,
to.
Yes, you did. So now I'm playing as the Thunder Hammer Man.
I was just saying how I like to roleplay in Skyrim was what I was saying.
Because he's kinky.
I am kinky.
So he told me I have to, so I did.
I didn't. You know what I think is happening here, Josh? I think you really do like Skyrim, but you went on this thing where you're like you're now a teenager and Skyrim's like your parent and you're like being really rebellious. And you went on this period where you're like, Skyrim's not that great. Why does everybody love it? And then you were talking to me about it, and for a long time. And I was talking about how I like Skyrim's got this roleplay potential because I've like every time I play a character, I do a different roleplay. And I told you how Special Edition's got this mod where you can just like start the game in a different way and like live a different life. And yeah, we were talking about that for a while. And now you're playing Skyrim again.
Well, because you told me I have to.
No, I never did. You know what? I'm fine with you not liking Skyrim because it doesn't affect me at all. I'm still playing it.
That's fine.
And I'm excited for Elder Scrolls 6.
Now I'm playing as Thunder Axe Man.
Okay.
The Axe Thunder Man.
All right.
I'm basically Zeus and Thor, but put into one.
Yeah.
Is what I am in that game. And so far, it still has all the problems that I saw originally.
Well, of course.
But I'm starting to understand its lasting potential among people who decide to do the role-playing thing.
Yes, because there's just so many things to do and so many different ways to play the game.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
Which is fair, but that doesn't mean that I enjoy it.
No, you don't have to.
So I'm on the edge yet. Like, I understand... Because I do like role-playing in games. Like Dark Souls, I do a lot of that. Bloodborne, I do a lot of that. But Skyrim, I'm not convinced yet. And I'll let you know as that evolves.
Okay.
So that's Skyrim for you right now. Right now, okay, I'll tell you what I've done so far. I went to the Wizard, the Winterhold, the College of Magic. I completed that, so now I have magic. So I'm Thunder God.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to join the Companions.
Alright.
Because Thunder God needs a axeman to help.
Alright, cool.
That's where we've gotten so far.
You're gonna get Isgrimor's axe?
Probably, yeah. And
that's a good axe.
And I'm not gonna become a werewolf because that's defiling your body.
Yeah.
So role playing, 10 out of 10.
Perfect. Like I said, my most recent Skyrim playthrough that I'm on is like I'm a farmer.
Yeah.
I told you that. Like I
did.
I'm living the life of a farmer.
Yep.
Which means basically what it means is I'm strong, which means when I go out into the world I have strong, heavy two-handed weapons. So it's my excuse to play a heavy class because it's like I'm a strong farm boy. So I got like a big hammer. And I actually kind of ruined my role playing in a little bit because yeah, that's right. I just completely overthrew my role playing. I forgot about that. I should have mentioned that. Because I downloaded a mod for Valkyrie armor. So now I'm a Valkyrie. So it's a little different because now Valkyrie armor is heavy armor, so I'm still technically playing a heavy class, but I've got a one-handed weapon and a shield, which is a playstyle that I also don't do very often. So I'm still trying something new, but
Alright.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have started playing Hat in Time.
Nice.
And it's fun.
Okay.
It's, I'm having as much fun with that as I've been having with the ukulele, so I don't know what that tells you. But they're equally fun so far in my book, and the more I play it, the more I'll let you know which one pulls ahead.
Fair enough. I now own the ukulele. I didn't buy it, I was just given it. So, I might play it, I don't know. I might check it out.
Now, this last one is one that I was very nervous about. So there was a big old sale on PS4, as there always is, where you can get the complete edition of The Surge by the same people who made Lords of the Fallen. Now, don't get me wrong, I hated Lords of the Fallen. It was awful and bad. And so going into this, I was very nervous. I did hours of research looking up things about this game, looking up people's reviews, people that I respected reviews. And I came out with a moderately alright score that justified the very low price of admission. So I bought it.
Because you're just desperate for a Dark Souls
I am. I really am. So I got it, and I've played about 3 hours worth so far. And I'm happy to say that I actually have enjoyed it so far.
Okay.
It's not garbage to control. It feels okay. There are certainly some not so polished things that Dark Souls has that this doesn't. But it's not game breaking, and it doesn't ruin your experience like Lords of the Fallen did.
Okay.
This is much more doable, much more acceptable as a game, and so far I am not utterly disappointed.
I actually watched a review of The Surge, and it was like a 40-minute review, and I forget the name of the guy. Hold on, I need to look it up. But basically, the one thing in the entire review that the game did that actually impressed me was that the intro sequence, you're on a train and your character looks like he's sitting down and you just see the back of his head. And then the train stops and it says press L to move, and then you do, and it turns out you're in a wheelchair, and it's like you expect your character to like get up and walk around, but like your body comes in a frame and you're in a wheelchair. And I was like, that's a cool introduction.
Yeah.
So that's literally the only thing I saw in the whole review that impressed me. That basically it looked like off-brand Dark Souls to me.
Well, it is.
Okay.
One of the actual things, as far as mechanically, that I really like is you can choose to attack different parts of your enemy.
Yeah.
So head, arms, legs, torso, and the goal is to get different parts.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That part seemed kind of neat.
So as far as mechanics, I think that's one of the coolest things that this game implements. And when I get more into it, I'll let you know if that changes or if I like something else. We'll see.
All right.
But otherwise, very Dark Souls. It's pretty fun. I've actually had a good time with it. Which, when going into it, I was very, very cautious.
Yeah.
About that.
Shammy is the name of the YouTuber.
All right, I'll look it up.
Yeah, you're gonna want to see that video because that was a very cool review.
I may have already seen it.
Maybe.
Because I did do a lot of research. Shammy?
Yeah. Also, I just like Shammy's channel. But yeah, okay, so cool. Neat. And it's the one with the owl. No, that's not it. That's not it.
What is this? Oh, good.
Are you done with the Surge? I've got a couple of games
I am
to talk
done
about.
with the Surge.
Okay, first of all, I'll just go through them chronologically as I bought them and played them. There's 3, if I'm not mistaken. I might be forgetting about others. I don't know. Okay, it's Far Cry Primal. I got Far Cry Primal. I'm not done with it yet because I just got distracted with a couple other games. Far Cry Primal is Far Cry without guns. Here's the thing. I don't think people are like. I think Far Cry Primal's underrated. Have you played it?
I have.
People complain about the Far Cry series getting stale, and with Far Cry 5, it's like it's similar to the other Far Cry games, but like Far Cry Primal barely feels like a Far Cry game because it's all about crafting and like a survival, finding like materials to build like a village, and that's a cool feature. The village building thing, that's kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
So you find materials to improve huts and whatnot, and there's no, towers you have to climb to expose the map. You just explore, and the lack of guns means the game plays out very differently, and it's very innovative and very different, and I don't think people really praise it enough for that. Mm-hmm. It's so different that it's barely even a Far Cry game in my mind. So.
I mean, when I picked it up for really cheap and played it, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Yeah, it tries something different and succeeds for the most part. I don't think it's got the lasting addiction factor that most Far Cry games have, but it's interesting and I liked it. And
it doesn't work as a great substitute for a Far Cry game.
Right.
But it is a fun game on its own.
Yeah, it is fine. Yeah.
When I got done with Far Cry 4, I picked up Primal because I was like, oh, I would really like something kind of like Far Cry 4 to tide me over until the next Far Cry. And I got Far Cry Primal, and it didn't do the job, but it was still a fun game.
Yeah. It's just very different, very innovative in the Far Cry series. So yeah. Props for that. And then I stopped playing that because I got distracted by Wolfenstein 2 being on sale for about $20. So I picked that up and I started playing that.
Still on sale for $9?
Might be. I don't know.
I'll have to look that up.
Check it out.
Realize.
It's fun. It's. Here's the thing. I don't love the Wolfenstein series, like the recent 2 games. The first one I beat it. Wolfenstein: The New Order, that is. I beat it and it was fine. I didn't love it. This one is the same thing. It's very similar to the last game, almost to a T. So, if you like the last one, you'll like this one. And I'm not yet done with it because as I was through doing it, I saw Tomb Raider Definitive Edition was on sale for $7. So I was like, ooh, I'll get that. And so I have this backlog of games that I started and didn't finish because I found another game. And now I've beaten Tomb Raider. Because, the reason being is Tomb Raider is a series that I felt like I should try to get into because the third one's coming out soon. As for the new ones, that is. This is not the 2013 series, the one that started. You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. The third one's coming out soon, and I feel like of all the stuff I've seen about it, it looked like stuff I would enjoy, but the story is, back when the first Tomb Raider was the only one out. As in, whatever. I'm just pretending the old games don't exist. Don't mind me. Back when the 2013 Tomb Raider was out and Rise of the Tomb Raider wasn't even announced, I got it on the 360 because I think it was free for a monthly thing. And I played about an hour of it, and it didn't seem like my thing because it felt to me like this really bleak and depressing survival game, and I wasn't really feeling that at the time. I was expecting something a little more Uncharted, and I was they're find this makeshift bow and craft parts to improve it and fight these wolves, and I was it's gonna be a survival game, and I wasn't really into it. I mean, it looked like a fine enough game, but I wasn't in the mood for it, so I put it down and stopped playing it, and I never picked it back up again. And then I saw the new one. I saw the definitive edition was on sale on PS4, and I thought, I'm gonna give it another shot because supposedly Rise of the Tomb Raider's good, and supposedly this one's good too. It's just I didn't give it a good shot. And I found out only about the first hour of the game's like that. Then it becomes just a full-on Uncharted action game from there on out. For the rest of the game, full-on Uncharted with an Uncharted ending, and it's I enjoyed it. It's oddly enough, that's exactly what I wanted out of it, and it was very fun, and I'm glad I played it.
Oh, cool.
And I'm looking forward to the Rise of the Tomb Raider now. So,
very cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Anything else you play?
Not really. I don't think so.
Well, I guess that just about wraps it up then, doesn't it?
Alright. Okay. Well,
talk about good timing.
Let's call her an episode then. It's just basically a catch-up episode of the things we've been doing.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider's fun. Death Grip's new album's good.
Working 2 jobs is hard.
Go see Hereditary.
Go see all the movies.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
Listen to rap music because it's not all bad like I once thought.
One last thing, I listened to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye. I don't know if you have yet.
No.
It's okay. I don't like it that much.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah. Well, in that case, thanks for joining us in this belated episode of whatever.
We'll try to do more. It's hard.
It's like I said, upload schedule. Basically, it's no longer weekly. It's just whenever we're free. Whenever we can. So, and whenever we're feeling like it. And I was feeling like it. So I asked Josh, hey, can you record? And he's like, yes.
But, like, seriously, as soon as this is done, I'm going to show a song to Colin, and then I'm running out the door because I have to go do something.
Yeah, and I have work at 1, so...
Yeah, so we're very busy.
Yeah.
We'll try to catch you guys, hopefully, sooner than this time.
Yeah.
So, I hope to see you soon.
See you later.
Send us emails.
See you in 20
At purplepandapodcast@gmail.com. We'll catch you in the next one.
Duh.